Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. Hopefully this is an uplifting video, and I'm going to try my very best for it to be that way. In that, you know, the summer months, and we call it the summer slowdown, tend to be slow for many, many resellers. And I can attest to that on my secondary account where I'm down 43% month over month. So from the previous month, I'm down 43%. But on my main account, I am steady. We're doing really well. We're on par with what we did last month, which was a really, really strong month. Now, in my mind, it goes to show a couple things that, of course, I've said this many, many times, but that is what I've seen from my experience. I don't know how your experience is, but for me, what I'm selling plays a huge role in that equation, in that success, because there's types of items that I have on my main account that I don't put on my secondary account. I like to save my better items for the main account and the not so great items for the secondary account. And it doesn't mean that they're bad items. I just got through listing about 4 basketball, NBA authentic basketball jerseys. I think a Zion Williamson, a Muggsy Bogues throwback jersey, a brand new with tags, Murray from Denver. I don't know his first name. I'm not really into NBA like I used to be. And of course, Stephen Curry from the Golden State Warriors. Those are good jerseys, and I put them on the secondary account, and not a bite yet. I think I've had one where I was able to send an offer, but still, and I have them priced reasonably. These are 3 of them are pre-owned, one's new with tags, and I can't really expect a whole lot because the time of year we're in historically just doesn't have a lot of demand, and there's a lot of people who'll dispute that, but I can tell you this. And I think I've spoken about it before on many videos. I used to sell diamonds with a friend back in 2006, 2007. And he'd go to the Los Angeles Diamond District, meet up with his contact, his source, pick up a parcel of low clarity, eye clarity diamonds, where you can see little carbon spots in the diamond. Not the greatest diamond, but we would sell them. We'd take photos of these diamonds with our scanner. So I had an HP, he had a Lexmark, and my scans were a little bit better than his, showing the low quality. He'd parcel out, of course, these diamonds for me to sell. He'd sell it on his account too. And if anyone ever had a problem, they would just, we'd just basically say, reach out to him, and he would take care of the situation. Usually it ended in an upgrade in the diamond. But now, all that to say, in the summer months, it didn't matter what we did. The sales just really weren't there, and the number of diamonds he'd buy would be a lot lower because June, July, August was just not conducive to making a lot of sales. And it was one of those things where he was reliant on eBay income. I wasn't, but he was, and he'd have to save the other months of the year because he knew that the summer months for what he was selling was not so hot. For me, it was just supplemental income. So fast forward to 2024, here we are dead in the summer with a bad economy to boot, and people are surprised that they're not making sales. And there's people that are in denial about a summer slowdown. But I'm looking back historically back to, 2006, 2007. There's a lot of you haven't sold that long to understand that no matter really what you do, if you're selling a certain type of item that just doesn't have the type of demand it would have in the summertime, and there's just a long laundry list of items that fall into that category, well, you're going to deal with slow sales. You're going to have to deal with slow sales. And if you're going to continue to sell that kind of an item, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're able to make that item work the other 9 months of the year, sort of like my buddy with his diamonds, and you know that the summertime is just dreadful for what you're trying to sell, maybe you need to save money throughout the other 9 months of the year so that when the summer comes, you're not struggling. Now, I know that many people just really are adamant about what they sell. Maybe they sell within a niche. Maybe they have an easy time to source a certain type of item. But if we're really being honest with ourselves, if we're trying to make money in this business. This is what we do eBay for. This is, for many of us, our job, right? If we're trying to make it work to replace a 9-to-5 income, then we've got to figure out what works and do what works for you. Now, all I can do and all other channels can do is represent, and I hope other channels are doing this, but in my case, represent as honest a view as I can about what I'm doing without giving up my source. Because if I give you guys my source, I mean, I won't have a source anymore, and it'll be harder to succeed. And I think if you're a reseller and you have a honey hole, you should never tell anyone, because if you're, unless you're willing to share that success, but in sharing that success, you're going to dilute the number of items that you have available at your disposal, and it can potentially really wreck your business. So I am very careful in talking about where I go, but I'm not afraid to kind of tell you the how, not the where, but the how. So I do liquidation. I do individual pieces, and I've started doing pallets again. Now, back in 2019, I was only doing pallets, and I found that the pallet game was kind of just really getting bad, and the opportunities, which only in my opinion, 90 to 95% of the pallets are really worth messing with anyway. Well, it got down to really a much lower number than that, and I just gave up on buying the pallets that were working for me, because either I was getting bid up on them and they're getting too expensive, or the cost of freight to have them shipped, or in my local area, I just couldn't find anything. And so I had to gravitate towards yard sales and thrift stores in some cases. And I wasn't the greatest at it. And it showed in my store's performance. I was really struggling, guys. You guys know my story. Back in 2022, the latter part of 2022, I was driving for Uber Eats. And it was not something I'm proud of, but we made it work. But at some point, I decided, and I made a decision, that I wanted it bad enough so I didn't have to drive, so Jenna didn't have to drive, that I was going to make tough changes to my business. And you know what? Let me put it this way, guys. If I look at the snapshot of my business, am I really excited about the idea that I'm dealing with 30, 40, 50 pound boxes that are 20, 30 inches in every dimension? When Jen is having a hard time, lifting some of these things, I've begun taking stuff off the shelf for her, taking it to her shipping station where she gets the boxes. And some of these boxes are jacked, so she's got to fix them. And all these things that we got to do just to sell these higher ASP items. Am I excited about that? Yes, I'm excited about the idea that it's working, and I'm going to keep it working, and I'm focused on continuing to make that work. But is this what I envisioned myself doing 5 years ago when I started this journey of being full-time as a reseller? And the answer is no. No, I was looking back in 2019, I was focused on buying liquidation and buying smalls, which means that you're talking anything less than 5 pounds. And for a while it was working great for me, finding pallets of AirPods and video games and things like that, until it wasn't available anymore. And I was finding myself pretty much in ruin because it wasn't. And I had to make a decision because I wanted it bad enough. And now here I am, because of the efforts that I put in, the efforts that Jenna has put in to help me get here. I can proudly say to you, while I'm not selling, I'm selling toilet seats for all, look, someone sent me a Flippin Aint easy toilet seat, a fan of the channel. Thank you, Jovial Juggler, by the way. But it's not something that, you are really proud of, right? I'm selling really not these kind of toilet seats. I'm selling more of safety shower chair / commode toilet seats that you'd actually have like near your bedside if you had surgery or if you're elderly. People need these things. So I've gravitated to things that people need: auto parts, safety seats. How about pet wheelchairs? I haven't really been able to get many of those lately, but just things. These are all trinkets. They mean nothing to me. They are a means to an end, a way for me to keep myself away from Uber Eats and keep myself from having to go out and getting a 9 to 5. And it was because I wanted it bad enough. And I just don't know that everyone out there wants it bad enough. We want it easy enough, but flipping ain't easy. Maybe the practice of it is on its surface, it's easy. A lot of people say flipping is easy. It's not hard. No one's saying it's hard, but it's not easy. And I'm just wondering, how many of you out there, do you want this bad enough? And if you do, what are you willing to do to make this work for you? Are you willing to make the tough changes? Are you willing to sell things that you don't really care to sell to make this work so you can pay your bills, go on vacation, do whatever it is that you set out to do when you actually log into your account every day, every other day, whatever it is? Are you willing to make the tough changes to give eBay the amount of attention, the right type of product, and do all the things that we talk about? And I just don't know if everyone is. If I'm just being totally honest with you, I think sometimes we fall short, and it's because of the effort that we put into it. I promise you, if you made an effort to go find the product that's going to sell during the summer, instead of sitting back and waiting for the things that never sell for you during the summer, I promise you, you're going to make headway somewhere. But it all depends on the effort that you're going to make, or you're able to make, or you're willing to make those changes. And I know a lot of times I come off the wrong way, guys. I do not mean at all to disparage anyone. And I know I come off that way. If you're selling low ASP stuff and you're making it work, then keep doing it. Do what works for you. But just know, if you're starting off and you're thinking, wow, I can buy $5 and $10 and $15 and $20 items. If you're trying to replace an income that brings in thousands of dollars a month, it's going to take a lot of inventory. It's going to take a lot of capital to get there. And many new resellers just are falling into a trap, I believe, by thinking that they can replace a 9 to 5 with that type of inventory. And you see these channels that have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 items, and there's nothing wrong with that because they're making it work. But that wasn't an overnight thing. That was something that took many years and many dollars, thousands of dollars, thousands upon thousands of dollars to make that work over time, to build that type of store, build that type of inventory, build that type of account presence within the algorithm to continually make sales. Whereas someone that drops in overnight and starts at scratch and just thinks they're going to buy random things all over the place and it's going to sell and they're going to replace a 9 to 5, you got to be in grips with reality. It just doesn't work that way. So this video is not to discourage anyone. I really think that each and every one of us really needs to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, do we want it bad enough? And if we do, what are we willing to do to make it work? And are you really exhausting all of your resources to get the right things up for sale during times where things aren't selling so great? For some, for me, it's selling great, but I found the things that's selling well for me. And, you know, not everyone's going to find stacks of toilet seats out there. Not everyone's going to find auto parts, but you have to go and find something different if what you're currently selling is not working. Otherwise, it's that whole thing of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. They call that what? The definition of insanity. Now, I'm not telling anyone out there that they're insane for just sticking within a niche. What I'm saying is, if you rely on this income, sell your niche, maybe consider opening a second store and finding something that can help you get through the slow months. And maybe even build a business with 2 stores, which is a model that works for us. It's kind of not working as well as I want it to for the second store. But you know what? The reason why the second store isn't flourishing the way I'd want it to is because I'm not giving it the kind of attention that eBay wants me to give it, so focused on the main store. But if I did focus on both stores the way, or the second store the way I focused on the first one, even the secondary stuff I'm throwing on that account will do better through all the different things that I can do to make my sales. When I do actually put attention on that store, I'm selling random pairs of shoes. I'm selling things that I'm like, wow, this has been listed for a while. But it's usually only when I'm doing the things within that account. If I go days without even interacting with that account, then sales are dead. And that's just the way eBay seems to roll. So lots of things I hope you guys have within this message to think about. But really, I think each and every one of us really needs to kind of sit down, look deep within ourselves, and ask ourselves if we really want this bad enough. And if we do, are we willing to put in the work? Because I'm a firm believer that those who are willing to put in the work and who do put in the work are going to outperform those who really don't. And I think the algorithm, I'm sitting here trying to game the algorithm all the time, but I think the algorithm would agree with that statement, because look around, look at the accounts. Don't just take my word for it. Go onto eBay, look at different sellers that sell within your niche that are doing well, and look at how many listings they're putting up or how much value they're putting into their store. Look at the things that they do within their listings that maybe you don't do, and try to copy that so that you can do better. But again, do what works for you. I'm just here to kind of give you encouragement. Hopefully this is encouraging to someone. And guys, summer's another 2 months. We can persevere. I'm going to persevere. My second account's going to persevere. And I hope that you guys do as well. But figuring that out and understanding how you can make this work when things aren't going well is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. I want you guys to have an excellent rest of your day, and we will talk to you very soon. Take care, everyone.